Right. All right. Welcome everybody to podcast episode 10. I believe this is 10. I'll have to check. But I have Olaf Wrzesinski on the podcast. This is a friend of a friend. This is actually the first time that we are speaking live. We're in a couple of group chats together. How I know him is through Jacob from episode 3, Jacob Mishlevitz and Seabass, who Jacob is Jacob's brother. Um, Seabass will be on an episode next week, actually, to chat, and it's going to be a fun one as well. But Olaf is actually roommates with Seabass. He's known the Mishlevitzes for decades, it seems like, and he'll dive into a little bit more of that. Olaf is in the real estate space. He's got a really cool journey, how he even got into real estate and where he's at now with it. He also helps Sebastian and Jacob run their company, Dream Rentals. It was known as Dream Chicago Rentals or Dream Rentals Chicago, something like
Mhm.
that. But now they're like F Chicago. We're going global. They're just, Chicago's also included, but they're going global, United States, I guess, national with it. So doing some big things. And Olaf played a key role in helping them go from 12 Airbnbs to now, 35 and now 50 Airbnbs across the nation and doing his own real estate on the side. And Olaf is living in his dream apartment right now. He'll talk a little bit more about that. Olaf, you want to show us the view that you got while you're up there?
Yeah, here's what we're
Yeah,
looking at
not
here.
a virtual background.
And for the people that know Chicago, that's Navy Pier right down the street over there.
Yeah, so he's living his dream life, and I'm excited to dive into how he got here, And so, Olaf, welcome to the podcast. And
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the intro, man. I'm happy to be here.
of course. And so, I like I do on every podcast, I want to go back to the origin story. Obviously, well, for me, it's obvious, but other people might not know. His last name is Polish, and so he comes from Polish descent. Do you want to dive into what it was like growing up in Chicago?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I was born in Berwyn. Again, for people that know Chicago, was born at the Berwyn Hospital. Grew up on the south side of Chicago, southwest suburbs. And yeah, I mean, I was just your typical kid from an immigrant family. Didn't really learn English up until kindergarten slash first grade. Always spoke Polish at home, so it was my first language. And yeah, went to, your standard public school, elementary school, middle school, high school. And yeah, I was always involved in sports. I swam for about 13 to 16 years, not getting the exact number right now, but swam for most of my life. Also played water polo, played soccer in typical Polish fashion. And yeah, so was just always involved in sports. Never really knew what I wanted to do in school. I went to college and we'll dive into it more later, but never really had a definite purpose with what I was doing there. So yeah, that's pretty much my general story with how it was as a kid.
Yeah, so born and raised in Chicago from immigrant parents, and what was it like for your parents? Being in a household with immigrant parents that probably didn't know any English, and it's a lot harder to learn English when you're already an adult. Like, what were your parents like? What do they do for work and stuff like that?
Yeah, so they when they first came to the country, they were both cleaning houses. They were cleaning houses for like 12 to 16 hours a day, just basically all day just to save money and, make a living in a new country. From what I know is that my dad went into the car sales business and did pretty well for himself. Uh, Chicago, statistically, the city of Chicago has more Polish people now than the capital of Poland. And I think it's the first or second year that's a true fact. So yeah, I mean he did well for himself in the business. Obviously, with a lot of Polish people coming in, he was able to service them and get them Toyotas because that's where he was selling cars. So yeah, he supported the family that way. And yeah, at a certain point, he just stopped doing that. Started jumping around from jobs to jobs. Now he's a semi truck driver. He was also a real estate agent for a while. My mom's also been a real estate agent for about 10, 15, 20 years. So that was her main point of focus when she got out of cleaning houses. And yeah, to this day, she's still a real estate agent, still closing deals every year. So yeah, that's their background.
That's cool. And do you have any siblings that, or are you the only child?
Now I got one 18-year-old brother. He just graduated high school recently.
Nice. Congratulations to your brother. And so going through high school and growing up, you met Jacob and Seabass and Bart at one point. How did that connection become?
Yeah, so a big thing in our suburbs for all the Polish families was to sign their kids up for the local swim team. So yeah, we just always swam together, swim practice together after school, always going to swim meets and stuff like that. And then the parents were sitting up in the bleachers, connecting with each other, making family ties and stuff like that. So Sebastian's a bit older than me, so he was in a different like age group when it came to practice and swim meets and stuff like that. So I was mostly hanging out with Jacob and Bart, but we were all close. We all knew each other. We saw each other every single day. So yeah, that's basically how we connected back in the day.
And then you guys went to different high schools, like you told me a little bit before the podcast. And what was high school like for you in Southside Chicago?
Yeah, man. So yeah, just to dive into it, it was I went to your I wouldn't say we did anything crazy. My class specifically though, there was definitely a lot of people that just loved to drink alcohol. So it was I wouldn't say it was like a party type of high school, but there were parties going on a lot. And I'd say the demographic was basically like it was like a quote unquote melting pot. Like we had kids from wealthy families that lived in mansions and gated communities, but then we also had families that just got to this country a few months ago even, and they were renting out a place at some multi-unit building. So it was definitely a wide variety of people, wide variety of cultures as well. There's a big Middle Eastern population in my suburb, so you know, and Polish people as well. So yeah, like I said, just a wide variety of people. And yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy. It was always a fun time. There was really no like ever, I guess you could say, beef. There was never any like crazy fights or anything like
Yeah.
that. Um, and yeah, we had we've had some recognizable athletes. There's a dude that plays for the Cavaliers right now.
Oh,
His
no.
name's Max Strus. I was a freshman when he was a senior, so I didn't really get to know him too much, but yeah, basically got a rising NBA star out of our high school, which was pretty cool. A few wrestlers that have made it to the national level as well. So, that was cool to see. And then I was in the swimming and water polo space, and we've definitely had a few like four-time All-American swimmers there that, got full ride scholarships to college for swimming and for water polo and stuff like that. So, yeah, good variety of people, but also a good place to be to see what it means to like achieve high levels of anything, athletics,
Mhm.
education, stuff like that.
And you've always wanted to go to college since you were a kid? Because that's the path you ended up taking. What influence did your parents have on you going to college, like living the American dream, right?
Yeah, so good question. I feel like looking back at it now, I feel like I didn't want to go to college,
Hmm.
but my parents drilled it so hard into my head that I need to go get a degree that I just started believing that like, oh, like college is the way for me. I need to go there. I need to get this degree and then like life will be good. So back then I would have been like, yeah, college is awesome. Like this is all I want to do. Like this is definitely what I'm doing. And not to knock on college, but since a very early age, like as early as I could remember, my mom used to take me to showings sometimes with her clients. And like to a little kid's mind, I was just like, oh, my mom gets to drive to go open doors at a house, walk through it, and she gets paid for this. I was like, this is sweet. And I was just like, I always love to see different styles of architecture and just different designs, different finishes on a home, different sizes of the home, like what comes around the home. Is it on a lake? Does it have a big backyard? Does it have a big front yard? So I just think it's super cool that you could basically build whatever you want when it comes to real estate. Whatever your vision is, if your budget allows it, like there's so many things to do. So, yeah, as a little kid, I just absolutely love the fact because I love driving cars and I love houses. So that was just my thing. Like I knew I wanted to do that, and that was part of the reason why I initially started studying civil engineering in college because it has to do with like building the structure of a building. I just thought it would somehow tie into real estate down the road. So, yeah, that was the original plan going to college.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that with the architecture and design. That's actually what I wanted to go to school for originally in college because my dad was a landscaper and I worked with him
Yeah.
all through high school and working on some pretty damn nice houses. I'm not gonna lie, like multi-million dollar houses. I'm like digging trenches. I'm like, this is the coolest house I've ever seen in my life. And it really made me want to get into design and architecture and engineering. But then I ended up pivoting into the business route once I started Cutco. And yeah, I mean, like you, I do love looking at houses. I love like seeing the different designs and like where I live here in Oakland and Berkeley. Oh, the houses out here, you love it, Olaf. Like they're
Oh
insane. They're
yeah.
like on hills overlooking the bay. You can see the Golden Gate Bridge and like Spanish style houses, modern like oh, they're really cool. You guys definitely you Seabass and Jacob got to take a trip over here and check out some Airbnbs potentially. I'm sure the California margins might not be as friendly as other states. Hey, you never know. You can get something pretty sick out here. But you end up going to UIC, University of Illinois Champaign or Chicago?
In Chicago.
Okay,
Yep.
University of Illinois Chicago. And
hmm
so, what was that experience like? You went to school for engineering, and then I'm sure you probably found out later down the road that yeah, my engineering is not going to help me in real estate too much.
Yeah. So I always say that being in college was the absolute best and absolute worst time of my life at the same exact time. Like, um, I didn't mention it earlier, but the weed addiction that we were talking about before going live, been addicted to, been slowly developed an addiction to smoking weed and just any THC products at an early age, around 13, 14 years old. And yeah, I mean, leading up to that, like my junior and senior year of high school, and then going on into college, I say that it was the best time of my life because I met, like, if I didn't go to college and if I didn't join my fraternity, I wouldn't have reconnected back with Jacob. Like, I wouldn't have met the people that I consider my brothers today. So that's the best aspect for it. And when I dropped out, I was just like, why was I here? Like, what was my main purpose? And my friend made me realize like maybe you didn't come to college for a degree. You just came here for the connections that you needed in order to figure out what your purpose is and live the life that you want to live. So that was my main reason of going to college, and that's why I say it was the best time of my life. It was the worst time of my life because, yeah, man, like I was still struggling with that addiction. Like, dude, I was smoking so much every day. And especially being a freshman in college, I thought it would be cool like if I started selling it too. So I was selling Adderall, I was selling weed in carts, and I was selling shrooms sometimes. But Yeah, I mean, I started making bank, living in the dorms, man. Everyone comes to my door and just knocks. I don't have to go anywhere. And I just sell them whatever I had. So I made a really good amount of money my freshman year, and having an addiction myself, I would use all that money to, now that I'm in college, I have a fake ID and I'm going out to the bars with the boys. Like, so I'd be covering people's tabs, and I was smoking anywhere from 7 grams, like a quad, to an ounce every single day. Like,
That's insane.
just rolling up fat blunts, hitting bongs, like smoking with the boys too. Like, I was always the one smoking them out. So yeah, man, I was definitely letting the substances just take control of my life. And then yeah, freshman year I rushed my fraternity, and then once I was an active member, started doing way more Adderall, because I was also doing Adderall freshman year to
Mm.
stay up all night so that I could serve people when they needed weed or anything, but then also to study for engineering, because not it's not an
I'm
easy
also going
degree.
to school. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So probably I slept more than 3 hours, probably like 3 times a week. Other than that, I was just on Adderall and just awake. So yeah, and then once I became an active member at my fraternity, and I'm not trying to knock anyone that was in my fraternity here. Like, this was all on me. Great group of guys. Like, I still talk to most of them to this day, and they're just genuine, awesome people. But just at the point where I was at mentally, I started doing way more. So I was still smoking the same amount, but like I started doing coke, and I started doing way more Adderall, and I started snorting Adderall, and just the drinking was like I was a full-blown alcoholic and a pothead at the same time, which is
Mm.
not something you hear all the time, but like, dude,
Yeah.
I was doing it, and I was that was just my priority my sophomore year of college was just to do drugs, and like, the word clout, it comes up a lot. Like,
Mhm.
I wanted that clout. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to fit in, like bringing girls home and having one night stands, like, oh yeah, like everyone's gonna think I'm cool after. But like, and I want to share this point too, because this was like the deepest, darkest moment of college. Like, I would sit at my fraternity house for as long as I possibly can, because when it came time to like walking home by myself, that's like when the demons started kicking in. Like, what are you doing? Like, you hate this degree that you're part of. You hate being in college in general. You've always wanted to do real estate. Like, you want to be wealthy. You want to have nice cars. Like, that I just started asking myself like the real questions. And dude, some nights, like, I would literally just lay in my bed staring at the ceiling with the lights off. Heart is pounding because of the amount of cocaine I did that night. And I was just like, I would literally ask God, like, if I have a purpose on this earth, like, let me wake up tomorrow. But if not, just kill me tonight. Because, like,
Mm.
I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like every day that I woke up was a mental battle. Like, oh, I want to stay sober. But then I would walk out into my living room, my roommates would pass me the bong. It's just like, and then it would just be downhill from there. And then oh, what are the boys at the fraternity doing? Like, again, not knocking them, but like, it was like an avalanche for me. And then every once in a while, the avalanche would crash. I would maybe stop smoking for like a day or two, or like, just to like reset myself, and then it was just right back into the avalanche. So yeah, that
Mm.
was definitely the worst moments of my
The lowest of
career.
lows.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that and being vulnerable because now, like, me, like knowing you, only you now, would never have ever thought that you were that guy, right? Because I have friends like that as well,
crazy.
you know. And like my college experience was just completely different. You know, I went to junior college for a couple of years, and then I went to a very, very small college in North Dakota with 1,000 students. And I was on the wrestling team all 5 years of college. And so my experience was a little a little bit different. We didn't even have fraternities at our school. We had 80% of the students were athletes. And so instead of like the Alpha Phi house, it was the softball house or it was the
Yeah.
wrestling. That's what it was. And so it was just completely different being in North Dakota than, the city of Chicago, where, I mean, you probably had tens of thousands of students at your school. And, there was definitely a big difference. So like I actually look back at college like, dang, I wish I like because now I live in Berkeley. Cal Berkeley is 10 minutes away from me. And I just went on a hike pretty close to the school with my dog. He's sleeping right
There
there.
he is.
He's out. He's out. We had such a great time. And they have college game day. They're facing University of Miami, like Pat McAfee, Marshawn Lynch, Nick Saban were all 10 minutes away from me doing their thing. And I'm like, I was driving by just to check it out. And it's like super packed, super lit, really awesome. And I'm like part of me is like, dang, that'd been cool to experience what it had been like to go to a big school, with thousands and thousands of people, tens of thousands. But then I like really appreciate my small school experience because it kept me grounded. It was like a very humbling experience, especially when it got to the winter time and it was like negative 50 degrees. And so, no, that's super interesting. And what really clicked for you, Olaf, to just clean it up? Because obviously something did. And did it happen like that, or was it a gradual climb?
Yeah. It was a gradual climb. I mean, dude, I was still smoking weed up until 2.5 months ago. Like it was just something that I couldn't let go of. And I'll definitely share the experience that I had to go through in order to finally stop. Um, but what clicked for me was basically just my environment. Like after that sophomore year of college, uh I started dating a girl. So and then COVID happened. So
Hmm.
that kind of just slowed everything down. But then obviously with the girlfriend, like I got more into COVID plus the girlfriend got me more into just like staying at home. I was still smoking weed as much as ever. But I just started playing a lot more video games. Like I started going for runs and like actually working out instead of like I would still be drinking here and there, don't get me wrong, but it definitely like the drinking and once COVID happened, I cut out Adderall and cocaine to this day. Like I have not touched that since. It was something that was fairly easy for me to quit just because I only did it like in a party setting. I wouldn't like go home and like be snorting lines by myself, But like, yeah, once I retired the party life, that's when I retired the snorting and Adderall. Um, and yeah, just started playing a whole bunch of Xbox, bro. Call of Duty Warzone, that was my shit. And yeah, just hanging out with my girlfriend and again smoking weed. Started cooking, just like started doing like actual like normal life things. And yeah, I was doing that for our relationship ended 8 months after at the time. And yeah, during that time while I was dating that girl, like junior year going into senior year of college, my two closest friends from the fraternity just started reading like self-help books, self-development books, like Think and Grow Rich, uh, Atomic Habits, which was the first book that I read, and just all those books that help you become the next level of yourself, the next version of yourself. So and these were like my boys. Like us three would be doing everything together, like at the time we were always smoking together. So
Yeah, yeah.
um yeah, one of them opened up an online store, got into ecom, and the other one was, doing the same thing, like really diving deep into his financial degree. I forgot exactly what he does, but it's something to do with finance and it's awesome. Um so yeah, they started reading books and they started like just like when I hung out with them, they would just like give me that energy, like, and to me it was like God showing me like, yo, Olaf, like go that way. go that way. You see where they're going, like go that way with them because this is what you wanted since you were a little kid playing with Hot Wheels in the kitchen, like you need to go do this. So yeah, I picked up my first book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and yeah, I mean, again, I my ex-girlfriend was great, great person, but like by chapter three, I was like, I'm literally just dating this girl so we could have sex and eat food after and just like watch TV.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, with all respect to her, I decided to end that relationship. Like I needed to pursue my dreams and goals, and like I don't see you as a wife. We were just kind of having sex all the time. So yeah, dude, like ever since then, I started reading more books. One of the first people that I really started listening to is Andy Frisella. I just love his energy. Like his podcast is called the MF CEO podcast. Just like this big, swole, tatted up dude that's screaming at your face every day. Like that's just like I love that. That's what I needed.
That's the first form guy, right?
Yep, first form,
Yeah, I have
exactly.
one of his. I have one of his shirts. I was
Yep.
actually wearing it earlier today. That's funny.
Yeah, he's the CEO. So yeah, and I started doing 75 hard. And then shortly after I started reading these books and like going on this journey, I moved into an apartment with my two close friends. So it was like we called it the growth hub because it was like this is the start of like us retiring the past of just partying, being degenerates and just really figuring out like what we're doing here. So,
Mm.
dude, started doing Wim Hof. I've done 75 hard like 3 or 4 times. And then the Live Hard program, which is the year-long one, did that once. And yeah, like that's where the momentum started. And like back then I was still hopping around, like I was still in college, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna start day trading. Oh, I'm gonna try to open up an e-com store. And I was just like trying to do all these like get rich quick things, just like I forgot what it's called, but just like I just had that like beginner's like blindness. Like I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, I'm gonna shiny object syndrome. That's what I was trying to say. Like I just wanted to grab everything that was shiny and just pull it in and get rich. I thought I was gonna be a millionaire like every single day that I woke up. It's like today I'm gonna make $1 million before I
That's
go to
super motivating. That's very motivating, though. It's yeah, like you said, it's naive. It's being naive because I have I had like my brother and one of my closest friends, they got super into day trading during COVID. But now when my friend Josh, the one I was telling you that spent the night not too long ago, this man knows how to read charts. He's like been doing this for 4 years now. He's like, ooh, just sniped this for like $100. Like he's got it down, but he's like, oh, when I was new, it was gambling. He was like, it was not strategic day trading. He was like, it was borderline gambling, and now he's like in a point where it is very strategic. He makes more profit than he loses. Like probably, he
Yeah.
says he's probably making profit in 80 to 90% of his trades. And I'm like, okay, that's not gambling. Like, no, you got it done. He's like, I have a system now. Before I did not have a system. I was like, oh, this looks good. Click, click. Oh, dang it. You know? But yeah, I know a lot of those out there. Especially with social media at the time, everyone was like, COVID this, like you got to start doing this and start doing that. And then life goes on and you decide college was not for you and you wanted to pursue other opportunities. So what was that period of time for you like?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that right where I ended right there was basically like the point. Like I was in that apartment with my two close friends. Like we were really like diving deep into our purpose. Um, and then yeah, like after sophomore year of college was when I dropped out of engineering. That was like my parents' like biggest, like their biggest like purpose for me. But it wasn't my purpose, you
Yeah.
know? So after sophomore year, I was in that state where I was developing myself, but I was also just trying to like I said, day trading, all this stuff. I was just trying to like figure it out. Like, what do I really want to do? But then after a while, I was like, I want to do real estate. Like that's what I've always wanted to do. But I always told myself, oh, I'm gonna get this degree. Like after I dropped out of engineering, I told myself, I'm gonna get this degree first to make my parents happy, and then I'm gonna get my real estate license, you know? So there was still like another 2 years of me just like kind of hanging out, doing things that I don't want to do in order to make my parents happy. And not to sound selfish, but it just didn't make me happy. So
Yeah.
um one eventually got to the point where I sat down with one of my roommates at a coffee shop for like 3 hours, and we like genuinely discussed what it would take to drop out. And and it was just like kind of building up the faith of like it's okay if your parents are upset for a bit. Like it's okay if this is not what most people do. And that, yeah, after that talk, I was just kind of set on like, okay, like I'm gonna make a plan for this and I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm gonna make myself happy for once. I'm just gonna do something that puts a smile on my face. So yeah, I mean, like I said before we started recording, I knew that my parents would do everything they can to keep me in college. So I just decided I'm going to drop out by myself without telling anyone. I remember being on a Zoom call with the counselor. I was like, can you please just make sure that my parents never find out? Like, I want to tell them myself. Don't send them any emails. Don't tell them anything because it's not going to be good. But I mean, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I dropped out and then I went home one day and I was like, hey, like I'm not in college anymore. Um, and yeah, I mean at first it definitely wasn't taken lightly. Like my parents were just kind of like, we spent all this money on you for you to live on campus and go to college just for you to tell me 4 years later, because dude, I was about to graduate. But I was so stressed out with what I was doing in college that like I wasn't sleeping at night. I just like I didn't want to do it to such a degree that I just needed to get out. I couldn't do it for another week. So yeah, at first it was kind of just like, why did you do this? Stupid decision. But right away, I started working at a cabinet company, $12 an hour under the table, so I didn't have to pay taxes. And dude, I was working like 12 to 16-hour shifts, just delivering cabinets in a big box truck, and like building cabinets, stacking boxes all day, like hard physical labor, kind of just what my immigrant parents were doing when they first came to this country. Um, and yeah, I was doing that with one of my roommates just every single day, 6 times a week sometimes. It was usually Monday through Friday, but if there was a job for Saturday, like I would just try to get as many hours as I can in. Um, and yeah, I mean, I was just doing that, and right away I started studying for my real estate exam. Like I think it was literally a day after that I dropped out of college, I signed up for the course. And obviously it cost a little bit of money, and like my parents were mad at the time, so they didn't really want to give me money anymore. So I was like, I'm on my own. I'm gonna do this by myself. So yeah, I started studying for the real estate license immediately. Still working, full days. I would get home at like 8 p.m. and then study for real estate for like 2, 3 hours, go to sleep, do the same thing again. Um, that's when I started realizing like I realized really early on after I dropped out that like I made the right decision because I physically felt weight lift off my shoulders. Like I was just like for the first time in my life, I was doing something that I wanted to do. Yeah, I mean, driving a box truck full of cabinets was not exactly what I wanted to do, but I was surely happy about it because I knew that I was doing that to make money in order
Yeah.
to
There was a
get through.
purpose behind it. There was actual like, wow, this is going to get me closer to this goal where like taking another few classes was actually like not going to do that for you. And it was taking you away from getting money and time for studying for the real estate exam and then becoming a real estate agent. And what was it like reconnecting with Seabass? When did that come into play?
Yeah, so yeah, good question. I didn't touch on that. So it was a little bit before that point, just a
Okay.
little bit. Or I think it was right at that point. I think I was already dropped out when I reconnected with Jacob first. Because so that one roommate's friend's roommate at U of I Champaign was
Mm.
Jacob. And we all got put in a group chat one day, like, hey, let's hang out and do something. And yeah, so I like hats off to Jacob for doing this for me. Like he was the door opener for me to like truly start living the life that I'm living now. He yeah, so I just texted him on the side like, "Hey dude, like how are you doing so well for yourself? Like how are you keeping yourself happy? Like how are you this consistent with what you're truly wanting to do?" Um and yeah, I quoted it before we started recording, but he was my Mike Chu before Mike Chu. Like he took me in. He was kind of like my mindset coach. We had one weekly call for like an hour, and I would just basically unload all of my problems and questions onto him, and then he would just answer them as best as he could. Um, and then I think it was a few months of that until he told me like, hey. Like you should consider joining this mastermind program or this mentorship program, Champ Dev. I think it's called Evolve now, not sure, but yeah, he basically just like gave me like a soft opening into this group, this coaching group. And then yeah, so to answer your question with Sebastian, um, I was into real estate. It was a little bit later down the road. I think I was about or no, I was like 6 or 8 months into real estate. And then I remember it was winter break and Jacob posted on his story like, "Hey, we need people for like the office to do some work." And in my head, I was like, "Oh, like I need to get better at talking to people." Because again, being high all the time, I was always antisocial and just weird, you know? So I was like, I need to open myself up more and like face my fears and do this. And yeah, still smoking every day. Definitely at a way smaller scale, but like I was still smoking. And yeah, my career in Cutco was very short. It was two and a
Oh, so
half.
you ended up selling Cutco in Jacob's office
Dude,
after all
I
the
sold
years
I
of him
sold
trying
like
to recruit you.
$1,200 worth of Cutco, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm scared shitless every single day. I just didn't want to do it, but the wisdom that I got from it was great. Like I learned the concept of sales there because
Mm.
I didn't have any sales experience besides selling drugs in college. So I
And
got
that's
a
so different. That's such a different,
way different.
way
Yeah,
different.
the demand is there. No questions asked about it. So yeah, it just gave me like the concept of what it means, what it takes to be a good salesperson. But yeah, 2.5 weeks later, I dropped out of that again. I quit that. I just told Jacob I couldn't do it. And that was like I said, it was winter break, and Sebastian retired from Cutco around New Year that year. So me leaving Cutco, I basically left Cutco at the same time as Sebastian.
Yeah,
Two whole different journeys. He was there for 10 years. I was there for 2.5 weeks, but
yeah.
we both left Cutco at the same time. And I texted Sebastian. I was like, dude, like, I just feel bad. Like Jacob poured all this energy into me. Like I was just kind of like letting out my frustrations and just like my sorries. Like I was like, damn, like I was beating myself up because,
I let him down. He
yeah, I
took.
let him down, man. Like, what do I
Little
do?
did you know, as a manager, we are so used to that. Like
Yeah,
coming in and just people, working with us for a couple weeks, doing what they want to do, getting the experience they want, and then moving on. You know,
yeah,
Think
no,
about it
exactly.
personally at all, huh?
Yeah, and dude, as soon as I told Sebastian that, he was like, bro, don't worry about it. Like, help me find Airbnbs, basically.
Hell yeah.
He's
Just
like,
like,
he's like, screw Cutco, let's just do this Airbnb stuff. So, yeah, man, that's basically where it started. I wouldn't say I was their director of acquisitions like I am now, but like I was just doing my real estate work, going through the MLS, finding rental listings, and then pitching the listing agent to see if we could talk to the owner to see if they'd be willing to arbitrage their property. So that's basically where it started. And then 6 to 8 months after that, Sebastian was already living in this apartment for a while. And he had a different roommate. And yeah, that roommate ended up moving out, and Sebastian was here by himself for a month. So he's like, yo, like, I need someone to help me pay his rent, like, move in with me.
It's not cheap.
I was like, absolutely. Like, of course I'll do this. I'm living with my mentor slash now friend. And yeah, it's just gonna be great. Like, this is my dream apartment. I've got everything that I need here, living in one of the nicest areas of Chicago. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And that was around the time that I went to my first retreat. So
Hmm.
I was just feeling all this like great positive energy. Like ever since I started reading that James Clear book, just the clarity on my purpose was just getting more and more clear. And yeah, it's really started coming full circle once Sebastian asked me like be his roommate. I was like, wow, like I didn't expect myself to be living in my dream apartment this early, but like I just got this opportunity and I wasn't in a financial situation where I could afford this. Like to be honest, I completely lied on my application just so I could get approved. My credit score was good enough, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, like I just decided to pull the plug. Like I have a huge banner above my bed that says, "Get comfortable being uncomfortable." And when I dropped out of college, that's exactly what I did. And that's what my advisor told me too. He didn't try to keep me in there. He's like, dude, I get it. Like some people drop out because they have a different purpose. And he told me to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I was like such a great guy. I have his name written down in my notes app somewhere so I could tell him thank you later down the line in life. Just had a huge impact on me. That's kind of been my motto ever since I dropped out. And this was like the next step for me to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because, like I said, I couldn't afford living here. I was still living at home with the parents, eating free food, zero rent, zero utilities.
That's life.
Yeah, it was nice. But for me, it was like
Financially, at least.
the average home price in Chicago is like 430,000 or something like that. So, that's a pretty good paycheck as long as you close on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
100%.
yeah, man, gave just brought myself up to that next level of just staying uncomfortable and
And
developing
well,
myself.
and it's a combination of that and also surrounding yourself with people that are going to pull you up with them, pulling you up, and being willing to give you a lot of their time, energy, and wisdom to get you out of there, combined again with you being open and willing to be a good student. And
Yeah,
that's like what Champ Dev is about, right? Like they serve students, the people that want to be students. And it's like, I would call it like a valuable education where like college, it's it's not that it's not valuable because I got a lot of value out of college, but just in different ways where like, they didn't teach me. I learned nothing in college. Like in the classrooms, I had some awesome teachers, but I learned more doing Cutco and being around people that were about growth. And like I went to school for business and they didn't even teach us about taxes. Like they didn't teach us a lot of stuff in college that people are going to use in their daily lives, figuring out their purpose, growth mindset, how to freaking read a personal development book. Like they want us to read Lord of the Flies in high school and it's like, why?
exactly.
No one wants to read that and no one's going to learn shit from it. Have them read, yeah, Atomic Habits or have them read like, I don't know, 10x rule. Like, I'm just saying that because Kubi was on my podcast a couple weeks ago and he's all about Grant Cardone. But like, like stuff that's actually going to help them become a better person, that's going to find out what they want to do because everyone goes to college going like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to be a that. And they don't realize that it's actually not them that wants to do it. It's usually something external. And
Mhm.
then we are so influenced by our external we tell our internal to shut up. Oh, I
Yep.
really want to do this. Nah, shut up. Nah, everyone else wants you to do this, so you should do it. Then you get yourself in too deep, like you were in college. You were in so deep where it was like, I don't want to be here anymore. And then you get into champ dev. What has been like, I mean, we could talk about champ dev for a while, but I do want to just bring it up. Like, what has been some of the biggest growth factors in champ dev for you since you joined? What it sounds like you joined, was your first retreat Tulum
My
or
first retreat was
Austin
Austin
23? Austin 23?
2023.
Because my last retreat was Denver 2023, and then the next
Yeah.
one would have been Austin. Uh, but I'm no longer in the group as of now. I
So
plan
we
on
missed each
plan on to.
other.
Yeah, we just missed each other, man. Just missed each other. But I remember seeing you on some of the Zoom calls, um,
Yeah,
leading
definitely.
for the Evolve calls and whatnot. But what has been some of like the biggest takeaways that you've gotten from either retreats, calls that you've had, connections you've made? Like what has being part of a extremely positive and empowering community done for you?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, we could talk about this for a whole nother day, but to to break it down, to keep it a little shorter, I think the biggest things for me were like at the Austin retreat last year, it was my first time in my life like telling people exactly how severe my addiction was to weed. Because like before, I was really good at hiding it. Like I could smoke a whole joint to myself and you wouldn't even know unless you smelled it on me. But like I made sure that you didn't smell it on me. So I became a professional at wearing two masks, you know? Like, I became a professional at living two lives. So that retreat in Austin last year was literally my first time saying out loud like how bad my addiction really was. To we had like a small semi circle of people. Preston Smiles was there,
Yeah.
and we were doing one of his exercises, and yeah, dude, like I said it, and I just like broke down crying because it was like, wow, I'm in an environment, I'm in a space where I'm able to share these darkest things about me that I'm so ashamed of. So that was just my biggest like that was my first sign of like, okay, I'm really starting to heal this addiction. Because before that, I did have support, but I didn't have the support like I had the support at Champ Dev. So that was like the first thing that I realized, like, oh, like I'm in this group to stay because it's like it's gonna change my life. I know it. Um, another thing, because I was still smoking, man. I was still smoking. I was still smoking. So um I've two more biggest takeaways from here. So the second one is just the community aspect, just the networking aspect. Like there are some high achievers in that group. There are some like top of the top people in that group that, I'm in a group chat with. I could FaceTime them whenever. Like, for example, Slew.
Yeah,
He's like
sleep insane.
32 years old and he's retired, bro. Like he just does whatever he wants. He bought an RV last year and just started driving it around all over the country. Like retired at 32, like there's some amazing people in that group that do so much, that have such a clear purpose that they drove through for so many years. So definitely just that, just the exposure to high achievers. And then my third one, um, which is what I mentioned before, like what really got me to stop smoking weed finally, was just that I've always been a religious person. My parents used to go to Catholic church, and then we just kind of stopped going when I went to middle school, high school. So I always believed in God, and like I always wanted to reestablish my relationship with God, but I always just felt ashamed because I was like, oh, I can't, be addicted to weed and pray to God at the same time. So I just like always held off on that. But I don't know if you saw, but Mike Chu recently got baptized as a Christian. Yeah, so just having that example for me was a huge factor in this, but I've always just like wanted to reconnect my faith, but I always just felt that like mental block being high all the time. So um there was a certain experience that I had to go through 2.5 months ago, like I said, in order to like finally stop. And that was the deadline for this year's retreat, which I just got back from last week. Um, they sent out a message that like, oh, midnight tomorrow is the deadline. Like if you guys don't sign up, like you're not going to the retreat basically. Um, and like I was at the point with my smoking where I was still smoking. I wasn't smoking a crazy amount a day, but I was still smoking every single day, like 3, 4, or 5 times a day. Um, just way smaller quantities, but like I was still in that mental battle, and I was already living here. I'm living in my dream apartment. I'm doing exactly what I want to do, but I'm still smoking, bro. And yeah, so I got that message on Facebook Messenger and just started freaking out. I was like, I told myself last year, like, I'm gonna show up to every retreat. And dude, I had $54 in my bank account. Like, I don't have any savings yet. I'm not gonna come on your podcast and tell you that I'm this huge, successful, wealthy person. Like, dude, I'm still figuring it out. I'm not crazy rich yet. I'm not
How old are
wealthy.
you? How old are you?
What? I'm 25.
Okay, cool. I'm 27. So yeah, I feel you there.
Dude, I would spend all my money. Like if I had more than $20 in my bank account, I'd go spend it on weed. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
I just like I didn't care. I'd rather max out a credit card and be high that day than save my money because I don't have any. Like it was I had zero financial discipline.
Mm.
Zero. Like I was literally paying rent here. Like I was just making enough to pay rent and like I don't know how I'm gonna eat. I'm just gonna max out another credit card. That was basically my thought process. But yeah, going back to that situation, like I just started freaking out. I was like, dude, how I can't miss this retreat. Like I can't, you know, I just can't miss it. I need to go. I need to figure this out in the next day. Um, so I just started. I had no idea what to do. So I just started praying. I just told God like, God, if this retreat is meant for me, if I'm meant to go here, like I really really want to go. If I'm meant to go, please like give me a sign, show me what I have to do in order to pay for it, and I'll make a deal with you. Like if you show me the way to pay for this retreat, I will stop smoking like today. And so like I literally made a deal and I told God like if I smoke again, if you answer my prayers and I smoke again, like I'm fine with you ending my life, whether that's literally or figuratively. Like end me because I don't want to do this shit anymore. Like it was I literally got to that point, bro. Like I just like back like I was back in college. Like if I have a purpose in this world, then keep like let me wake up tomorrow morning. It was kind of that same energy. Like I need to quit smoking weed. And so the next day, the day of the deadline, still didn't really figure it out. And so, I have an amazing, loving mother, and I called her. I was like, "Hey, like," and uh, with some certain parents, you've got to negotiate your way to like a bigger purchase like that. So I was like mentally getting prepared, like, okay, I'm gonna like negotiate. I'm gonna give her all the good points of why I should go to this retreat. And
Set up your argument perfectly, type out your notes for the argument.
yeah, make her a Google presentation and stuff. No, I didn't do that, but like I was just ready for a long phone call.
Yeah.
And so I called her. I was like, "Hey, this retreat's coming up. Like, I'm completely broke. Could you maybe pay for it?" And dude, no arguments, no questions. She was like, "Yeah, I actually just opened up a credit card with 0% APY." And I was just thinking about what I should put on it in order to like actually use it. So yeah, you could use it for the retreat. I like chose the payment plan for the retreat, so started using it for her, and 0% interest. So she's like, yeah, just uh I think it is 0% for like
First
18
year.
months or something. Yeah, so super long time. She was like, yeah, just like pay for your retreat with this card and like just pay me back in full whenever you can. And that was literally the moment like I went back home and I threw all my weed out. I threw all my edibles out. I was like, I'm fucking done with this shit. Like, this was God answering my prayer that I need to be at this retreat. And yeah, that was 2.5 months ago now. And that was, I think that's my third like biggest breakthrough with Champ Dev. Like, even though it took me spending literally all of the money that I have existing to my name, and just being down on my knees, like literally nothing to lose and really wanting this retreat, like I found God's grace. Like no matter how many times I screwed up, God still granted me access to this retreat. And yeah, dude, I have not even thought about smoking weed since then. Like I wake up every day and the first thing I do is pray to God and say thank you that I'm sober. It's
Hmm.
just how I start my day.
Hmm. Hmm. And well, we got to know now, like, how was the retreat?
Dude, it was it was sweet, man. Yeah, my biggest takeaways from the retreat were that obviously being a stoner, you don't really want to focus on learning anything. So we had several like wealth talks, and like I said, everyone there is a high achiever. Like they're
They
doing
have money to spend. They're like looking to buy a business or put some
yeah.
money into this thing, and you're like, I have $50. I'm
Yeah,
not.
and dude, I was just sitting there. I was like, what are these people talking about, bro? And I was like getting pissed off. I was like, dude, fuck. Like, I want to know what they're talking about. I want to like be at the point to invest. So that was my first takeaway from the retreat. Like, I need to get over my uncomfortability of like I need to develop a desire to learn more,
Hmm.
become, because yeah, I get better. Sure, like over time I'm becoming a better person, but like how can I accelerate this process through learning? Like dude, before the retreat I like couldn't even get myself to listen to a podcast. Like I wasn't reading any books, I wasn't doing anything. I was just doing real estate, answering phone calls, and it was still going well, it's still going decent, but to accelerate the process I need to start learning more. So that was my first takeaway. Second one was just to how to facilitate a tough conversation, because I'm more of like a reactive person. Like I want to oh, I did this to you, but let me tell you what you did to me. I'm always just like a snappy type of person. I don't really hold space for people. I don't resonate with their feelings. I just want to shove my ideas and beliefs down your throat every time. So that was my like we had Josh Warner come in, and yeah, we did an exercise around that, and yeah, it just really helped me realize like where I've been lacking with that, with my tough conversations, and just how to facilitate them again. So it was like we were all standing and facing each other, groups of two, and it was just like open up, open wide, and then repeat and reflect. Those are my things. And then I'm forgetting my third biggest takeaway, man, which is crazy, but I have it
The
written
retreat?
down somewhere. What was that?
From this retreat?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, another thing that I could say from the retreat is just like it's just another piece of evidence that I'm finally like on the right road to what I've been wanting to do. Um, just like it really opened up my eyes. Oh, this is actually my third point. Just remembered it. Just being more financially literate of just like tracking my expenses, because I've always just been like, oh, make as much as you can and like spend as little as you can, but um I really like started breaking it down for myself and just like seeing what I'm actually spending money on. And yeah, the first few days after the retreat I was just like, wow, like I could cut all of this out. I
Oh,
didn't
for
even know I was
sure.
paying for this, like. So yeah, just being more financially literate, more aware of how much is coming in, how much is going out. And yeah, man, again, just keeping myself uncomfortable, just like doing the things that I don't want to do. Those are the things I should focus on first. That's what I've been telling myself.
If you want to listen to a really good podcast episode, I don't know if you've ever heard of Jocko Willink.
Yeah.
Jocko's probably my favorite podcast out there, and
Mhm.
he has Andrew Huberman on his podcast, and they talk about the part of the brain um, that there's like a specific part of the brain that when you do something you really don't want to do, it like rewards your body. Like a cold shower. If good, I love taking cold showers, but I also hate. I don't look forward to them at all. Like every time I take a cold shower, I'm always like, do I start warm and then I turn it to cold? Or sometimes like I'm just gonna start warm and then do it to cold to finish. And I'm still like, I don't want to put it cold. But then I do it and I feel great. It fires me up. I feel more alive afterwards. And there's like actually a part in your brain that grows when you do challenging things that you don't want to do. That's the thing. You got to like really have resistance towards it and still do it for that part of your mind to develop. And then you just start, doing it like it's nothing. And
Yeah.
it's definitely a pretty cool episode to listen to because I definitely agree with the you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable being in wrestling. Like, there'd be some days where, I'd have 5 workouts in a day. I'd have 3 practices and I had to cut extra weight around that. And did I want to do that and then sit in a sauna for 30 minutes after and lose 10 pounds? No, no, not at all. But I know it made me tougher. I almost died, but like it's all good. Um, didn't die. So, you know, there's that saying, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. But you also told me before we hit record, you went on a pretty insane bulk. And I do want to just hear about Kurt. For those of you that don't know Kurt, he's the health coach, the head health coach for Champ Dev. What was this program you got on, and what did you end up doing?
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to the community aspect, I always told myself, oh, I'm a swimmer, I have a fast metabolism, I'm never gonna get past like 180 pounds. And yeah, when I started bulking, I was at 150 pounds. Just kind of, I was still eating a lot of food, but like it was just kind of a bunch of whatever. I wasn't tracking anything. I was eating to eat. Um, yeah, 150 pounds, and then I got on this program. I was actually with Brady first, Coach Brady.
Yeah.
Then he left Champ Dev, so then I got up to like 170 pounds with Brady, and then I switched over to Kurt once Brady left. And yeah, I mean I've gotten up to 170 pretty comfortably before in my life. Like it's just a matter of eating a little bit more for like a month and I'm there. So I basically got handed off to Kurt around the time where I was like going into the unknown. Because the most I've ever weighed was probably like 180. So, I was starting to get to those numbers where like I've only hit one time before. So I mean what my program was pretty straightforward. Just 3,200 calories, 215, 20 grams of protein. And that's really all I focused on. Like, as long as I hit that 220 grams of protein, I didn't care what else I ate.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, just staying consistent with that and working out, like 4 or 5 times a week. The programs would fluctuate. He would have me on like 3, 4 week programs at a time. But some of those programs are 4 days a week. Some of those programs are 5 days a week. Um, but yeah, just like the accountability was there, having a weekly call with Kurt just to like see if I'm tracking my numbers and like hitting them, and if there's anything I need to switch around and stuff like that. So the accountability aspect is what got me up to 210. Just I had to do it. There's someone like looking over me to make sure that I do it. So yeah, it was definitely a fun process. I'm the strongest that I've ever been in my life. So
That's
yeah.
fire. That's fire. Yeah, Kurt's the dog. I love Kurt. He was my coach too. And I didn't join Champ Dev for the fitness side. That was just like kind of a bonus. I was like, oh, they also do fitness? Hell yeah, I like fitness. And
Yeah.
then uh yeah, Kurt would just be like, because I was training Muay Thai at the time. I was
Hmm.
training for my fight in Muay Thai. And so I was just on such a different program than everyone else because I was lifting at 4 in the morning, and then I would go on a run after that for like minimum 4 miles, and then I'd have practice at night
Yeah.
for 2 hours. So I was training like 4 hours a day, and Kurt's like, dude, you need to like reinforce the joints and the muscles in your legs, not like the big muscles, like the micro muscles, like in your knees and your ankles. And so he started having me do a bunch of knees over toes instead of lifting heavy, or not instead of, but I was still lifting 3 days a week. But I was doing a lot of knees over toes to like help with my hips, my knees, and my ankles, because I was throwing so many kicks, and then
Yeah.
getting kicked as well, and just like strengthening that up. And I don't know, I feel like I was very unique as a client for him, just because like I didn't need, like I was doing fine in my workouts before I like when I had my call to join Champ Dev, I literally ran half marathon that day just because I felt like it. And there are many instances of where I'm just like, I wake up, get a cup of coffee, I journal. I'm like, it's a beautiful day.
Let's go run 13 miles.
Feeling like double digits. Yeah, it's feeling like double digits. And sometimes, I haven't run a full marathon. That's kind of one of my goals for 2025, but I tore my LCL
Mm.
months ago. So today was like my first bigger run. I have been wrestling a lot actually recently, but yeah, it's like getting back up to building my running strength and capacity again, which I don't know, for me it's very easy. I could take like 3 months off of running and go run 10 miles, and I'll be like a little sore, like more than average, definitely more sore than average. Like my legs will be aching and whatnot, but I'll be fine. And I like to do that every once in a while. Um, like probably once a month, I like to just have one massive run just out of
Mhm.
nowhere to just remind myself that I'm still that motherfucker and like I still got it.
Oh yeah.
And I especially do this when I'm feeling like a little down, a little sorry for myself, a little like, what the hell am I doing? Why why am I sleeping in? Why am I like, if I catch myself slipping, the best way to like remind myself I'm a dog is I just go and run up a mountain.
That is the best way to do it, bro.
Best way. Like you got to do something that pushes yourself, something that you're capable of doing, but something that's gonna push you. That's also extremely badass. And yeah, I love running up Grizzly Peak out here in Berkeley. It's for anyone that knows Grizzly Peak, it's like 2,500 feet. I live at sea level. Like I can run to the water right now in a couple miles. So I'm like at sea level, and this Grizzly Peak gets up to 2,500 feet, like pretty quickly, like in the
Yeah.
matter of like 4 miles. It just goes whoop, up, and I'll just run right up that. Just no music, just my
That's
own breathing, and like the route that I take, the sidewalks like that skinny, so like cars are driving by me hella fast, and I don't know. We always gotta have those things in our back pocket to just remind us, like, hey, I'm that fucking guy. Like, I'm him. Not to sound like that cliche, like, oh, I'm him, I'm him. No, like,
awesome.
no, you gotta have those things in your pocket to remind you that I'm him. And with me being out with my knee, it's been tough mentally, man. Like, I'm so used to like working extremely hard and like putting my body through a lot, and just being kind of sidelined and only being able to do upper body. It's like you can only do so much, like it's hard to do cardio with your upper body and
Yeah.
push yourself in that capacity. But um I don't know. I'm starting to get the knee better. I've been wrestling a lot more, which that's like my biggest thing. I coach wrestling and I enjoyed immensely. But I'm glad that my knee's starting to heal up because Yeah, I was getting a little complacent in the last few months while I was trying to have my knee heal up. And I don't like being complacent. I don't like sitting still, even with this podcast, like um I haven't even posted a podcast in over 2 weeks. I haven't put anything on Instagram about my last published podcast. I mean, I've done them. I got Kuvi recorded, I got Mike Ho recorded 2 weekends ago, and I got another one tomorrow, and then I got Seabass next weekend. And so like I'm doing them, but I'm not like promoting them or posting them like I should be, because like there's so much good value and experience and lessons built in with these episodes that it's like, yeah, I want people to know. But I'm also that guy, like, I don't know, I don't like posting a lot on social media, but I know that this is valuable and I need to be posting it a lot for people to see it and for it to reach a larger audience. But it's kind of like that battle within of like, I don't like making all this stuff and posting it and coming up with captions. And I want to get an assistant to do that for me, but I don't get paid to do these podcasts. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't make sense to start paying someone for it. So yeah, man. Well, hey, I know it's already been like roughly an hour. Are there any last things that you would like to say to the crowd here before we log off?
Yeah, man. First of all, this is my first time ever doing a podcast, so I appreciate your time and for the great questions. It's nice to look back and reflect on, how lost and just helpless I used to be compared to now, just like knowing what my purpose is, knowing what I'm supposed to be doing moving forward. So, message to the audience is just to, tap into the things that you don't want to be doing. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That is the motto that I've lived by for the past 2.5 years since I dropped out of college. And it's helped me quit my over decade long addiction of weed. Like it's helped me build relationships that I need in order to, get to the next level. So just really focus in on the things that make life difficult. Because if you do that, everything else is just going to be a piece of cake.
Hmm.
That's why, like in Cutco offices, what do you start off with? You start off with calls, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the hardest thing to do. But then
All
after
right.
that, it's just like, oh, dude, I'm gonna go drive to someone's house and sell them knives. Shit's easy.
Easy.
Let's do it.
Easy. And
Yeah,
so what is like this podcast, it's called The Mountain, right? And you just gave us your climb up the mountain right now, going towards your peak. What does the next peak look like for you?
next peak for me. Great question. Um, next peak for me is just getting to a financial level where I have the ability to save. I have a surplus of money every month. I'm looking at investments. I'm looking to either invest in myself more outside of what I already have now with like the coaching program. Yeah, just making more self investments or more financial investments in the real estate space, Bitcoin. I'm bullish on Bitcoin, so I'm definitely about that.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah, man, just really starting to like build my wealth and put myself in a position where like I get to choose what I want to do instead of like out of quality instead of budget, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. Do the things that you actually want to do at the level you want to do them instead of settling for a less quality experience of just all things in life. And how can people support you? Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so just made a TikTok for my real estate content. So you could find me my handle for everything. I don't have Twitter, but Instagram and TikTok, I'm Olaf in Chicago. That's it. At Olaf in Chicago.
Do the name
Facebook.
right there. There you go. OLAF. I'm below you on my screen, so I point up at your name
Oh,
right.
gotcha.
Your
Okay.
name's your name's in my top corner.
Yeah, man. I'm Olaf in Chicago. That's who I am.
And so just Facebook, any Facebook as well, Olaf.
Facebook is just my name, the one you just pointed at, Olaf Wrzesinski.
I'm
Yep.
sure you'll probably be the only one with that name.
Might be a few other ones, some Facebook profiles from like Norway or
That's
Scandinavia
true. That's
out
actually a
there,
really,
but
really good point. Yeah, yeah.
for the Olaf in Chicago, it'll be me.
Cool. Okay, excellent. And for those of you that want to support this podcast, like, subscribe, comment your best takeaways that you've gotten, some words of encouragement to Olaf. And I appreciate you, Olaf, coming on the Mountain Podcast. You know, this is our 10th episode. Most podcasts don't even make it past. I read a statistic out there. It's like 90 something percent of podcasts don't even make it past episode 10. And here we are, episode 10. So,
Wow,
special one to be a part of. I was like doing the math.
honor.
Kyle was 7, Kuval was 8, Mike Ho 9. Yeah, this makes it 10 for sure. And I'm glad you were on, man. And this is funny how this is our first live interaction after
Yeah.
exchanging texts and being in the same group chats with each other, knowing a lot of the same people. And I'm grateful that you reached out and wanted to be on the podcast. You know, you're someone I was always like, who is this Olaf guy? You know, and I was like, I'm gonna follow him on Instagram because all my friends know him. And I'm like, dang, he seems pretty cool. He's doing this awesome real estate journey and he seems like he has some really cool stories and he's friends with Seabass. I already know how Seabass is. And if someone's friends with Seabass, they got to be pretty interesting and have a cool, you know, they have something cool to talk about. So I'm very grateful that you're willing to spend part of your Saturday on the podcast with me, promoting growth, promoting your journey. And for those of you that are struggling through whatever you're going through, whether it's addiction, whether it's in a dark place, just remember that, hey, this life is a mountain you got to climb on.
That's
Peace.
right. Let's keep climbing.